Houston. Great guy to know for real estate there. He is in the Katy area, but they serve all over Houston. Ty came in a little under 60 million this year. So just absolutely killing it. Great guy, loves the core. So he wanted to know how I had built a VIP program, my VIP board that I've got right up here, and how do we do that? Teach me how you make those connections. So I went down and he asked me to teach that to his team. And I thought, well, let's just do it with the receptionist and we can demonstrate it. So Minesh and I got to talking about it and I said, well, let's do it live. That'd be kind of fun. Let's pick a realtor and let's get one of their VIPs who I don't know and have never met, and let's just see if this works. Maybe a big flop, but I think we'll have fun either way. So Minesh knows a guy named Chris Blackman. I know a guy named Chris Blackman. So we thought, well, that's a good mutual guy that we both know, and he's in Dallas. So let's just pick him. So I said, Chris, do you have a VIP that we can talk to? He said, absolutely. Jill McKenna is going to be the one that'll be the most fun. She's one of my top VIPs. So I have not gotten to know Jill. I did call her this morning just so she knew who I was and she wasn't scared. What is this going to be about? But I really don't know much about Jill at all. What I do know is she's in mortgage. So when we started that call this morning, I said, so what's your job? She said mortgage. And I was like, ooh, maybe we shouldn't do this call. This is kind of weird. But here's the thing. It's even better. I felt like the more I understood, she's in underwriting. She is not in sales. She is not compensated on bringing loans to her company. So even the ones that we think might not be a good person to have as a VIP or a lead source, they really might be if you'll dig a little deeper. So in some ways, it proved my point even more that I didn't end that call and pick a new VIP, that I could get to know her. And so, Jill, thank you for being here, for being the guinea pig.
You bet.
What I want you to do is just answer these real. I've never asked you these questions, so this is all live, and I want you really to answer. You know Chris Blackman, his wife Diana Blackman. They're good friends of yours. That's what I understand. Is that right?
Yes, they are.
Okay, cool. So how did you meet them?
Well, I have known Diana since 1975. She and I were in first grade together. Know her family very well. Loved her mother. Her brother's fantastic. Got to know Chris once they married, and his extended family. Great people. I've been able to send referrals to them. Some of my high school classmates, I had 2 or 3 that some of them have had land deals in different types of things that some of them I know weren't always the easiest referrals, but they handled them. They did an excellent job, did the due diligence that was needed and got them closed.
Yeah, Chris is incredible. Being in the business I'm in, I work with a lot of realtors. So it's hard when you go buy your own house. Who do you work with? So we actually worked with Chris, or I probably should say we worked with Diana, because if you know him well, you know that she's a workhorse. And
definitely,
she found us a house in Flower Mound, Texas, and we beat out a bunch of offers in the middle of 2021. So they are the best of the best. Great VIP program. How many people would you say a year you're sending to Chris as leads?
I'd say probably anywhere from 4 to 6 per year.
Okay, that's awesome. 4 to 6 per year. So let's begin the fun part here. Do you happen to know anybody right now that's looking to buy a home?
I don't, but I come across it, all of a sudden it will be, somebody I'm out, maybe at a cocktail party or even interacting with my kids' parents. Some of them are even at the age where they're downsizing. They might want to get out of a larger family home if their kid is the last one to go off to school. Even we have a lot of people, I'm in the same situation. We have aging parents and those types of things where maybe they're moving for different reasons. They need less of an upkeep. They don't need a big yard, that sort of thing. I don't right now. Always keep my ears open. And,
awesome.
There are always people that seem to have that need. Definitely.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, that's the same thing, I think, with everybody. And so the next question, similar. Do you know anybody looking to sell? It's kind of obvious, but you don't know that.
Similar type thing, no, yeah. But that does come up. I mean, right. And I've even seen, like I said, even with aging parents, there might be a health problem that comes up, and somebody big house, and now they're just hey, I want to move to a high-rise condominium and I don't want to deal with it, that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah. So I find that is the main stopping point for most realtors and lenders really, is do you know anybody looking to buy, or do you know anybody looking to sell or refinance if you were a lender? And people usually don't, at least in the way that we ask at that point. And then a lot of realtors will say, if you ever know of anybody, let me know, and then get off the phone. What we want to do is try an experiment here and see if we could go now a little bit deeper, pretend we didn't hang up the phone just now. And I said, okay, Jill, that's awesome. I actually assumed you would say that. You didn't know anybody looking to buy or sell. When you do, you're going to let Chris and Diana know, obviously. But what would help them a lot right now, because their business is down like everybody's is. They're still having a great year, great start to the year. Chris is actually at a listing appointment right now for a super great house, or else he'd be here with us. So Chris is a hustler, but what they need really more than anything, what we all need, is relationships. We just need to know good people. So I would ask you these next questions, and some of them are going to fit and some of them aren't, just based on your age, your life stage, your friend group, and all that. So there's no pressure. If one of them doesn't fit, we'll probably find one fits way more than the other. So anybody in your friend group, kid group that's renting a house right now or renting an apartment?
I do know some people renting.
Okay. Who comes to mind when I say renting?
Well, my brother comes to mind. He's kind of been on the fence for the last couple of years. He has a same situation. His daughter graduated from Highland Park High School, and they're actually renting there, and they're kind of deciding what they want to do. I did it probably at least for another year, because I think they signed another lease. But at some point, I probably want to move.
Okay. Well, that's great. So that's not even just a young kid. That's somebody that's your brother. That's an established person with a career and still renting, which we might not think of there being a lot of people in our age, your age, that are renting. But anybody else come to mind when I say renting? If you thought about anybody else?
Not really. Well, let me think here. I do know somebody else that's kind of in that similar demographic, but I think they're kind of committed. But I always try to, a friend of mine made a very good point. He owns an HVAC company, and he try to train people to be referral based, which is really what you're talking about. But hang up the phone call. And I think some of that comes from making that contact, consistently and talk, even, not beating them over the head, but consistently touching base with them. Hey, do you know anybody that's in the market? That sort of thing.
Yeah. And where we're going with this is not even anybody in the market. What I want to figure out is, I guarantee you've got 4 to 6 people today, and you'll be done for the year. But what we're going to do is we're going to start a new trend, hopefully, to where we teach people how to think differently, because they want to help us. You're a big fan of the Blackmans. You want to help them. If you knew 20 people, you'd want to introduce them to 20 people.
Definitely.
You're a raving fan. You just can't think of any at the moment, but we've already figured out 2. There's your brother. What's your brother's name?
His name's Tom Harity.
Tom Harity. I bet he spells it just like the name on your screen there.
Yes, he does.
Look at that. All right. And then what's the name of the other one that you were thinking?
The other one is her. She actually cuts my hair, and her last name, her first name's Renee. Last name's Martin. Renee Martin.
Renee Martin. Is that EE or AE?
It's Martin IN, but her name is EE, RENEE.
Okay. Yeah. MARTIN.
Yes.
But she's a hair cutter. I like that.
Yeah.
You known her for a long time?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, that's good. I like it. Okay. So renting doesn't work as much the older you get. Our friends just aren't renting as much. If you ask me who I knew that was renting, it would be limited people right now.
Yes.
What about this next one? Anybody in your friend group, church group, anybody that's pregnant? Do you think anybody's expecting a baby at all?
No, but I have a lot of younger cousins because I have a lot of family here. So that could always be a possibility.
I love it. Tell me, who are your younger cousins?
The one, her name is Julie Stearman.
Stearman?
Yeah,
Cool.
Stearman.
Yeah.
And she's got a young family, but it's possible that she might be looking to add to.
I love it. That's fantastic. So you said you have multiple cousins in DFW?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who are the other cousins? Just even first names. I'm trying to prove a point here.
I have Mike Stearman, who's here, and then I have Jack Harity is another, and then Tess Stearman is another one, Ron Stearman, and then I have another Bob Swinson is his last name. Some is spread out, but and then they have Austin that's here too.
They have what?
Kids that are here too. I come big family.
Oh, I love it. Who was the one you said after Tess before Bob?
It was Mike Stearman.
Yeah, Mike Stearman. Okay, cool. Man, you got a lot of Stearmans in your family.
Yes, I do. They had a big family.
What's the Stearman connection to you? Is that mom or dad or?
My father's sister married Stearman.
Okay. Father's sister. Okay, so your aunt. Gotcha.
Yes.
That is super cool. I knew some Stearmans down in Houston. But yeah, I don't know. They probably a more common name than you might think. And so Harity was your maiden name. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Well, what about anybody? This one's always hard, but it's true. And I'll tell you before we even get to the end of this, the reason that these are important is Chris and Diana, who you know well, are really big on making a difference. The parties they put together are just really tight knit, really cool. We went to one a few months ago, and I told Chris, "You're the best party thrower I've ever seen. Your parties are just super fun, tight knit." I actually gave him a gift this week, a book, which if any of you haven't read it, you should totally read it. The 2-Hour Cocktail Party. It gives you the script on how to run a really great party, keep it to 2 hours, have icebreakers, have a ton of fun, get different people in the room, and have a lot of people show up so that you don't have cancellations. But so I gave that to Chris and said, "You're already the best party goer, party thrower." I'm a party goer. I'm gonna be a party thrower. So yeah, Minesh is cracking up over here. But yes, anyway, they're great. What they care about, though, is making a difference. They really want to go deep. And so to know life milestones really helps them to understand how to make a difference long before a person needs a realtor. Once somebody finds a house or is thinking about buying, it's kind of too late. So we as realtors need to back up and realize if we'll just take Zig Ziglar's advice and make enough impacts on people, help them get what they want, love on them before this. Ben Wilson's amazing at this, as we all know. Loving on your VIPs, taking care of them. They're gonna use you and love you and be loyal to you when it comes time to buy a house or sell a house. So this next one's hard, but that's the reason I ask it. Divorce. Anybody you know going through a divorce right now?
No, I don't. But again, that can happen.
Well, it's the time of year after the holidays. We see that a lot of people file for divorce. So I'm actually glad that you don't.
Yeah. I know, me too. I know. But that is another one. I mean, that's definitely a reason people, need to move or are moving.
Most of your friends are happily married then, or most single?
Most have already been divorced and the rest are happily married. Okay. Kind of life stage, that I do have a friend that recently divorced. She is in a lease right now, but that's a close friend of mine that buy probably somewhere in the future.
Yeah. I'm just going to write close friend. I'm not going to have you tell me a name over this kind of a situation here, but that's good. Who would you say has the best marriage of all your friends?
Well, I'd say Chris and Diana have a pretty good marriage.
Look at that. Yeah. Chris slipped her 100 before we started this call in case any difficult questions came up. That's good. They do. No, they really do. They're pretty sweet. They're kind of like a couple of high school kids.
They are, and I see them, even if they have a issue, it doesn't turn into a knockdown drag out. They seem to work it out nicely. So I think he
gives up. I heard him call her the other day and say, "Hey, we've got a listing appointment on a $2 million house at 1:00 on Friday." And she said, "Oh, I've got that birthday party at 1:00. And he was like, yeah, totally. I'll call the guy back. We'll move it to 2. And
Yeah.
she said, you sure, sweetie? And he was like, oh, absolutely. Sure.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
thought,
No,
wow, that is
that's
dedication. That man loves that woman. That's
definitely
awesome. So
right.
another category for you here would be anybody you know that is looking to downsize. You've already said you do. You've already said that that's probably a space your parents are in, parents, friends. So
Yes.
when you're thinking of downsizing, who are the people in the next several years you think that might need to downsize?
Well, I may downsize. I was discussing it with a friend the other day. Just we've got a pool. There's always maintenance with that. I live in a neighborhood in Plano that's the houses they're really nice homes, but built in the early 80s. A lot of us, our families are, we're empty nesters. So I probably know 3 right in my neighborhood that might consider it.
Awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Who are they? Give me some names on them.
One name is Paul Stone, Stone.
Okay.
And another one is Brian Fisher,
Okay.
Fisher.
Nice. Was there a third one, or was it 2?
Another contact would be Johnny Russo, SSO.
Just like Renee.
Yes. Oh, Renee's Martin, but.
Sorry, I meant Renee Russo.
Oh, yeah,
I meant Renee. I'm so sorry. I couldn't resist.
No, you're right. Wake up on that.
I should be nicer to you. We've just met.
Brothers, I can take it. It's all cool, right?
You're what now?
I had 3 older brothers. I was the youngest girl. So.
That is awesome. I am the oldest of 3 brothers and then a sister. So now I know, yeah, you're just like my little sister. She's tough as can be. That's awesome. Well, those are the main categories I thought of. And for the sake of time, I thought I would stick to those just to prove a point that we've had a conversation. You've answered this. I don't think you felt uncomfortable, but please tell us, for the sake of anybody watching, like, what was that experience like for you? Because you just gave Chris 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, at least 14 people that he needs to meet with. So you've outdone yourself. It's your best year ever by far. You've doubled already. And that's really good people. I mean, you don't need to feel like, yeah, but none of those are looking to buy and sell. They will all buy and sell at some point. So that's what we need to do, is get that sort of stuff. But were you willing to do that just because you know Chris, love Diana? Tell us about your side of this.
I guess being a business person for as long as I have been, I respect the referral ability to network. Even I'll put it this way, not only is it great when it's yielding you business, but sometimes it's just nice to get a referral. Like, I got a wonderful veterinarian referred to me, that's been a long-term relationship. So, it never bothers me if somebody says, hey, I'm looking for this, I'm looking to do this, or what have you, or even attorneys. Sometimes, again, we're talking about the life stage, estate planning and stuff like that. Well, who do you go to? You want to go to somebody you can trust, and probably the people you're going to ask are your friends to say, well, who did you use? Did they do a good job? That sort of thing. So it doesn't bother me. And I think that most people, you would think it wouldn't, because everybody in the end, we're all working. So even whatever capacity we're in, that drives business. Whether you're on the operation side, you're on the sales side, sales obviously keeps all the lights on, and that's the lifeblood of business. I mean, it truly is. So that didn't bother me at all. And I do think that most people realize, even with, like I said, other referrals, like insurance, stuff like that. I remember when my husband and I have been married 30 years. When we first got married, we needed life insurance. And this guy that had already gotten his stuff done referred us to somebody, and easy. And it was almost a relief. It was like, great, we'll go this person, we'll get it done, because people are busy too. And they want to sometimes have their business handled, So
sure. I love that.
Yeah, definitely.
That's great. That's what I find is people don't mind. There was a few inflection points here that I found interesting and should just point out that you did mention downsizing. You know, a lot of people downsizing. That's great. And then when we got into it, I said, what about renting? You said, yeah, I do. Oh, that's awesome. If I hadn't asked, okay, like who, you wouldn't have said. And then even when you did say, you said your brother, if I hadn't asked for his name, you wouldn't have given it. But because I asked for it confidently, I believe you're going to answer. If you had said, well, I'm just not comfortable giving you his name, I would say, well, I'm not asking for his phone number. I just wanted to write his name down. Now, at the end of this, what I would say is, hey, Jill, it'd be amazing. I want to meet these people. They sound super cool. I've written a bunch of things down here. And just for the sake of everybody else, I wrote down that she has a senior in Plano. She got the Texas Tech connection. She went to first grade with Diana. She's got people that she sent over that did land deals, high school friends, downsizing parents. You got your brother who's got the daughter at Highland Park High School. That's Tom. And then you got Renee who cuts your hair. So I've tried to write down like lots of little snippets as we went. So, I was taking notes, and so I could go back later and make it more impactful, so that if I was Chris and I called your brother, I could do a very nice job of honoring you and saying, hey, tell me, I didn't know y'all had a daughter at Highland Park. That's super cool. Our daughters went to Highland Park. They swam.
Right.
One of them nearly went to the Olympics. Like, immediately you build rapport because I know a few things. The other thing, you said you were married 30 years, wrote that down. You're the baby sister of 3 older brothers. All this stuff is super fun and useful. Your father's sister married the steerman. If I know that stuff, it's going to help you feel like you care about me. You're not just trying to get, how many leads can you get out of me?
Yes.
The other thing was, you said your friend owns an HVAC company. My eyes lit up there, and I wrote that down because that is exactly what Rick Ruby, who you don't know, someday you may be blessed enough to meet the man. You will never forget it if you do. For anybody watching, that's true. But he runs the coaching program that we're all a part of. And what Rick's got Chris doing right now is calling 20 whales. It's what we call them, but it'd be business owners. Your friend that owns this HVAC company would be a good whale for Chris to call on and just bring him value, get to know him. Tell me about your company. Do you own a commercial building? Do you know if he does? Does he own the building he's in?
He doesn't. We've actually referred a lot of people to him, but it's great because it's a win-win on both sides.
Exactly. And so if he owned the building, great. If he doesn't, Chris would ask him, do you want to own a building? Love to help you find a building. And then just knowing that he probably lives in a pretty nice neighborhood. If he owns the company, that sort of stuff is the assignment for the realtors right now, is go out and find good business people. So if we had the time and you had the time and we were just having coffee, I could say, hey, to help Chris out, he's got this assignment to get 20 whales. Like, let's think of a few right now. Who would you go after? Because that's my other question, just to leave y'all with one other thing. My favorite question to ask, and I guess I'll ask you this, just you can answer it. If you were Chris and Diana, if you were a realtor and you had to live on commission only, where would you get business? Where would you go? If it depended on you, how would you get business?
A circle of influence would probably be the first place I would start. Just, as we discussed, like church, alumni associations. I've been blessed to live in this city so long that some of that just kind of comes natural. But I think that would be where I'd start. But then I also do what you're speaking about, those concentrated marketing efforts definitely pay dividends. And, the other thing is, I've seen a lot of people network with financial planners. Those are good people in the industry. But anybody that even is and you want the whales, of course, but any vendors I knew a guy years ago, he's retired, but he was a locksmith and he owned the company, and he gave a lot of realtor referrals, and they did the same for him.
That's awesome. I think you're right. And so based on what you just said, if we had more time again, I would ask you, so what church do y'all go to? Cool. Tell me more about that. That's so cool. Alumni group. What group are you a part of? Oh man, that's so awesome. We've got different programs that we do for different alumni groups. Do you think that would help them at all? I kind of play dumb and just ask and dig to get some questions. The financial planner, apparently you think that's a great strategy. So which financial planner would you go to? I'd get an introduction to them. And then your last one, the locksmith that you've now raved about. Who's that, man? I'd love to meet him. He sounds like a super cool guy. So you would have given 20 referrals in 30 minutes here. So we don't have a lead problem, really, if we'll ask better questions. We don't need to go meet all kinds of new people. We really already have the people in front of us. There's a good book called The Power of Who that says you already know everybody you need to know to be successful. So I could do this all day. I think it's super fun. I want to stay in touch with you, obviously, because I now know all this stuff about you. So this is fun, but I'm going to tell Chris we had a great call, and I'm going to pass this over to him, and then I'll let him engage with you about your perspective on it and how can he help these people when and if and however they would need it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool. Thanks, Minesh. That was super fun.
Yeah.
So,
awesome. Well, really, Jill, thanks for playing along. And really I think it was so much fun to see the conversation unfold. Monty is obviously very good at what he does. He has rehearsed these questions before, and he has a very good tonality and everything else, which I really enjoyed. And Jill, you're a professional. I mean, there is no question about it. You know what you're doing. You have built relationships. You've been in business world for so long. It's obvious that you understand how this process of business works very well. So it was just a fun conversation for me to learn from how well you both interacted and made it seem so easy for other people who are watching, who will be watching this as I send out the recording as well. So I appreciate you doing that tremendously. Is there anything else that, Monty, you want to cover? Jill, you want to add?
Well, I need to put my copyright or disclaimer on this and make sure that I say I learned this from Brian Shudo. So don't anybody think I'm a genius, that I came up with all this stuff. Brian Shudo is a master. He's incredible. If you know him, you know I'm right, that he's the one that taught me how to ask for more than, do you know one person that I can call right now? So I want to give him the right credit.
Sure. So I'll definitely pass that on. Good. So Jill, what would you like to add?
Hey, go Cowboys. I think we'll see. I don't know. We got to get past the 49ers. I'm scared, but got to stay positive. So
you got to stay positive. So very much, I appreciate you